What's up, guys? I'm CM Savage, also known as Connor, and today I've got a guest star. His name's Mark. This is one of my buddies. He helped me get into vaping, and he knows a lot more about battery safety than I do. So today I'm going to have him co-star and guest in this video and explain to you guys a little bit about battery safety.
All right, well, batteries are the lifeblood of vaping because when your battery goes dead, you're no longer vaping. You know, it sucks to be you when your battery is dead. And charging your batteries back up and taking care of the batteries is very important. We've got a few batteries here with us today. We've got a LiPo battery here with us. Some of you may not know what these are. A lot of people use them in remote control cars. There are a few mods that still use the LiPo batteries. If you want big power and you don't want to carry around a brick, LiPo batteries are a good way to go.
Here's an example of a brick, guys.
Yeah,
this is a Wismec 300. What is this? How do you say this?
Jabo Rulo RX 300 by Wismec.
Yes, this is a brick in your hand. I cannot close my hand around this. This is quite a hefty mod.
It takes four 18650 batteries to generate the power required for that.
It takes 4 batteries.
To where a LiPo battery would run it by itself. The giveaway is you don't have the length of time with a LiPo, but you have lots of power with them because the amperage rating on them. These are standard 18650 batteries. These are what most of you are familiar with. These are what we're going to talk about the most today because most people are using these. The main thing about 18650 batteries and battery safety is the wrap. You want to make sure that your wraps are in good condition because this is your hot. The end that's got the insulator around it. The other end is your ground. And almost the whole rest of this battery underneath your wrap is the ground. So when you start getting bad spots in it, you're actually getting extra grounding.
Here's an example of a bad spot in a battery. This one, if you can see, it has a tiny rip. Has a rip right there in that battery. Right there in my wrap. So I have to rewrap that.
Those are not good, and you need to rewrap those. But mainly, if this end of the battery is starting to show a wear, because this is where your hot is, this is where your juice comes out, the rest is grounding. That little insulator right there is what keeps it apart. So if you ever get a hold of a battery that the little insulator is missing, don't use that battery. If you go to rewrap these batteries and you lose that insulator, go get some more insulators and put them on there. Don't try to just use a piece of paper or something cut out. You got there's a science behind how thick this is for it to do its job. 18650 batteries are used for a lot of things. When I was in the service, we used them in our flashlights. Nowadays, they're the most common battery for the vapor. But carrying around 18650 batteries is something you need to pay attention to, because like I said earlier, when your battery goes dead, you're not going to be a happy camper. So a lot of people carry extra batteries, and you need to carry your batteries in a safe manner. A case or something like that is the best way. I know lots of people who will just slide these in their pocket, and you've also seen these people on the news where their pants catch on fire and they burn themselves. And because what's always in people's pocket? Car keys, change. These things are made out of metal, and they will short the battery. If it touches both ends, like a set of car keys, you're going to get a spark, and it's going to ignite materials that are combustible, like your pants. I've actually heard stories about people who have put these batteries in their purse, in their change purse, and they short out and ask the person what happened, and they said it was in there with my change. And you're like, well, you know, change is made out of metal. And the lady actually said, no, change is made out of money. Well, money is made out of silver and nickel and copper and zinc and some of the best conductors that there are on the market. So they will short out. And the thing you got to think about when these batteries go bad is if a battery goes bad and shorts out, if it's laying like this, you're probably going to get a nice little burn. But if something is around it, like your pants or whatever, it's going to hold it in there to where that burn is going to be more intense on getting it out. The reason that mods blow up is because what happens is Once that's around it, it's essentially a pipe bomb. When it goes to try to vent, it has to give some kind of release somewhere, and if there's no release point, it will blow a release point, and that's how you end up losing fingers and teeth and stuff like that.
A lot of mods, if you look at them, have vent places. My Alien has vents at the top for the batteries. This Wismec product has vents at the bottom, and it has vents at the top.
And what those are designed to do is they let those gases out. Because this LiPo battery, I don't know if you can see it real well, but this LiPo battery is kind of puffy. See how it's squishy? It's supposed to be hard. This battery is actually attempted to vent. What happens is there's a sealant around these that keeps them from venting out, but that's what happens to them. And if it's under pressure, when it vents, it's going to blow apart.
Here, examples are if you have a bad battery wrap, or you have a bad insulator, and you use a mech mod. Mech mods, a lot of people have heard things about them. If you know how to use them safely, they're good mods. But if you're not educated on battery safety, they become a pipe bomb in your hand or your pocket, and then you're on the 5 o'clock news saying that a vape blew up in your pocket.
I'm glad you brought up battery safety, because there's more to battery safety than just the wraps. There's also knowing what the battery is capable of. People who build are an experienced builder. They know what Ohm's law is, and Ohm's law, we're not going to go into great detail about it, but what it does is it gives you an idea of what it should be, what your battery is going to be capable of. If you build a coil for your atomizer, the lower the resistance of the coil, the higher the amperage has to be to get to the same amount of voltage. And if you exceed the amperage rating on the battery, you're in danger of blowing the batteries up, because what you're trying to do is you're essentially trying to pull more power out of the battery than the battery is capable of. And when that happens, the battery isn't smart. It doesn't know to shut off, and it will overload the battery, make it hot. When it gets hot, the gases start to expand, and that's how they blow up. So knowing what your batteries are capable of is a very important thing. Now, buying good quality batteries is a good idea. You see a lot of batteries on places that are like really cheap, and you think, oh wow, these are really good batteries, and I'm going to buy 10 of them, and you didn't do much checking into them, and instead of buying a good amperage battery, you bought a whole bunch of 10 amp batteries. Well, you put 10 amp batteries into something like that Rouleau, or into his mod right here, and then you run something with a low resistance, you're exceeding the capability of those batteries, and you're going to make them blow up. Ratings on the batteries, they come in the amperage, which is, has an A behind it. You want to get at least 20 amp batteries. 25 amp batteries are better. They do make 30, 35, and 40 amp batteries, and I've seen a few legitimate 50 amp batteries, but there's not a lot of legitimate 18650 50 amp batteries out there. So if you see a big advertisement saying that it's a huge amperage battery, don't quite believe it. The MAH is milliamp hours. A lot of people get that confused, saying, oh, this is a 2700 amp battery. No, that's the milliamp hour is how long your battery is going to last. The higher the number, the higher the longer the battery is going to last. Also, it's also going to be the longer the battery is going to take to charge up. Most charging ports do at 0.5 amps per hour, so that's be 500 milliamps. So if you have a 2500 milliamp hour battery, you're looking at 5 hours for it to charge up. Batteries will build a memory up in them, so that if you don't charge them all the way up, and you keep on going with them and running them down and then charge them part way, you're essentially going to ruin the life of your battery. Cell phones used to be really bad about that a long time ago. They're not as bad nowadays. Batteries aren't as bad, but it's the same principle because that's what happens with. What else would y'all like to know about some batteries?
Pass me that over there.
This right here?
Yep. This is a battery charger. Some of you guys have devices like this device or my Alien that have a charging port or an update port right here. You need to check whenever you get a device. Some of those ports are meant for charging and updates. Some of them are just meant for updates. If you try to charge your device through an only update port, it will mess your mod up. So you need to get one of these if your device does not charge through the port. It is a battery charger. Some of them, the better ones,
This one is made by Nicor. It's a 2-bay battery charger. It's also a smart charger. What we mean by smart charger is when you put the battery in it and it charges all the way up, the charger will actually cut off. If it doesn't have smart charging capabilities to it, it will keep on attempting to charge the battery as long as the battery is in there, and that can actually lead to a fire because the battery gets overcharged and gets too hot. So spend a little extra money. Battery chargers are relatively cheap. When I say relatively cheap, you know, 2-bay battery chargers probably start around $15. If you have a lot of batteries, you can probably get a good 6-bay battery charger upwards towards $45 to $50, depending on where you're shopping at. But you definitely want to make sure that it's a smart charging system that will shut off, because otherwise you're going to be overcharging your batteries. And battery life is what makes for happy vapors, because if you don't have batteries,
there's no
vape for you.
Alright, YouTube, you got any questions, comments, concerns? Post them down in the comments below. Me or my friend Mark will respond to them on this channel. Thank you. You guys have a nice day and be safe.